Okay. Hold on, let me mute this. And we are back. Episode. What? Wait, what episode is this? 4 or 5?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I don't know.
Make this count. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We got canceled at one moment. It seemed like, but we back. Episode 4 or 5 of Open Gym, presented by Mojo Sports Gear.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Presented by Mojo Sports Gear.
Math again.
I'm Rondell Sutherland here with Marvell Nichols and T Nesbitt. How y'all feeling?
Living the dream, brother. Living the dream.
Great to be back with my team.
Hey, y'all.
See y'all. Get back to work. Let's get it.
Hey, y'all ready to talk some basketball?
For sure.
Especially since we got the games now. Let's talk about it.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Who want to take it off?
I'm happy. We got hoops. I mean, that's the bottom line to that. It's an exciting time. It's different because you're seeing different levels of basketball and who really took care of themselves during the off season. You're seeing who's still trying to get their win. There's still injuries and stuff that's coming around. So it's a whole different breed of basketball from what we see. But I'm just happy to see some basketball. Period.
Yeah, the energy for me is a little off. It's only off because of just the adjustments that we have to make right now. And I feel that it's still the game of basketball. The games still matter. It just doesn't have that feel to it. Like when you watched a game that we're probably going to talk about a little later on between the Suns and the Clippers. With the game winner, you get a feel, you get the excitement of it in yourself, but you don't get that atmosphere along with it of just like even with the digitalized crowds and the 2K sounds and this that and the third. It just doesn't feel as organic, but we're just still grateful to have sports.
So you're not really messing with these bubble games?
I mean, I am like from a competitive standpoint. It's just the feel, you know what I mean? Just you're in a basketball game when da 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 da. It doesn't check off those boxes for me. So I'm just still grateful that we have the games, and I'm still grateful that we get to watch competitive basketball, and I'm still grateful that the basketball players get to enjoy what they do the most and what they do best.
Okay. Well, so far I've been enjoying it. I don't know about y'all. Well, y'all just said it.
It's to me it's the best because I came home yesterday. I had to work and get off of work and I come home and it's basketball
right.
and I almost forgot. But it's the beauty of it is to come home and you see basketball. Like it's like coming home to love to me. It's like coming home to a good meal. Like it's a good feeling to come home to basketball. Usually you chill, get on Netflix for a few hours, whatever, do what you have to do, maybe listen to some music. At least for me personally, I'm doing all that just to pass time to 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock hits and some basketball comes on or some type of sports comes on. Right. Now the moment I touch home, some hoops is on.
Yeah, it's like basketball all day, right?
Man, and you can't get no better. I mean, obviously you want the circumstances to be different. You don't want it to be under a pandemic that you get basketball all day. I hope if anything they start looking at things like this and say, well, why don't we start schedule basketball like this more often? If they wanted to cut time or kind of condense games or something, I wouldn't be mad at them kind of looking at this and saying, well, let's have basketball on all day. Why not? That way we don't have to try to smudge a whole lot of things in at a certain time. Like, we can have road trips a different type of way. You can just move different. But needless to say, I'm just happy to see some basketball after so many months of not having any type of sport.
I get competitive summer league vibes from this right now. And I think that's going to ultimately change once the playoffs start. I feel like they have something up their sleeve when the playoffs do proceed in their process. I think that there's going to be some type of change. I think there's going to be, like, whether it be the atmosphere or whether it just be the feel or whether it just be just the looks of the court or something like that is going to make it just stand out and makes you feel like, yeah, playoff basketball is here.
I wouldn't say necessarily competitive summer league. For me, I would say it's kind of like a preseason before the playoff. It's a different type of vibe. It's like usually last couple weeks of the season you'll see players and teams kind of take the foot off the gas. I think now it's less of that. It's less defense. I will give it that. The scores are kind of outrageous, but I think it's conditions a thing too. You're getting back into the swing of playing basketball. So I think that they are really trying their hardest, but I think it's if you had a mulligan before the season ended, or if you had a little training camp before the season ended, or a couple practice games before playoffs started, I think teams would do things like this. I think you would see more, like Bobo played a lot the other day. Michael Porter Jr. had about 33 the other day. Um, those guys wasn't getting regular season minutes. I think now with Denver kind of we're in the playoffs, but we're playing to get the seeding together. They're just throwing different types of combinations out there to see what sticks. And certain things will come out and certain things will stick because you now have kind of a mulligan before the playoff time comes. I think back in the regular season, guys would have been resting, but they may have not had different lineups out there. Like you may have not had a Jokic out there with Bobo and Michael Porter Jr. You may have rested Jokic and then have Bobo and Porter Jr. just kind of playing garbage minutes in your mind.
Right.
Now, this extra time off kind of gives them like an extra year. Or extra time to train because you get better from one summer to the next. Well, they have a summer in between the playoffs. You still have a playoff to get to, and guys could grow up. Who knows? Michael Porter couldn't have been, may not have been ready. Now he's ready because he had a summer behind him to get better. So that's something that I see is just kind of figuring it out. The veterans are kind of walking through it a little bit, but that's what they will be doing in the regular season too. So it's just a different brand of basketball.
I think this is I'm glad that you actually brought that up, T. I mean, not necessarily just because you were speaking on my team specifically, but I think this is a great time for the younger players to get them some great exercise, some great opportunity to play, to get
Yeah,
them
some
some
reps.
minutes,
Because what was it? Zion got 23 his last game, didn't
right, and Zion only played 19 games the entire season, so this is excellent for him. Ja's been with doing what he's been doing all season. So this is a return for him, even though he's a rookie. It's still great minutes for him. You think of players like a young core like the Miami Heat with a Duncan Robinson or a Kendrick Nunn and all those players. You give some shine to players that could show you that they are much more valuable than anybody can anticipate. My thing was specifically when you look at Denver was when you brought out Bowl. This it was almost perfect timing, relatively. I mean, this is perfect timing, for say, but um, it's perfect timing for the simple fact that you're a high seeded playoff team in the West and you have a unicorn like Bull. And for those watching, a unicorn basically is someone that is with a unique skill set with a unique size. Like that's what we called Kristaps Porzingis when he was in
he?
New York. It's just it's more so like Bull hasn't played the entire season. He's been in the G League if anything, and with him playing major minutes with NBA players, they don't know what to do with him yet.
Right.
They haven't figured him out. They don't really know game tapes of. You can look at game tapes from the G League, but it's not going to really matter that much because you don't know what he's going to look like with a veteran Denver Nuggets team. Is what it's going to look like. What rosters? What lineups they're going to run. Prime example, they just ran the tallest lineup in NBA history. Jokic at the point guard, Jeremy Grant as shooting guard, Bol as small forward, Paul Millsap at power forward, and Mason Plumlee at the 5. Tallest lineup in NBA history. It's not. They're not going to run that, in the playoffs. They could run it like in a set, but they're not going to start with them. You have Jamal Murray coming off the bench.
Right.
They rested him very well. Denver had to sit down three starters when they played OKC and won in overtime with in the words of Murder Mook, Mike had 35 and still won that game. And you have Michael Porter Jr. doing this thing. This is a great opportunity for him. So as long as everyone stays healthy, and as far as the young players, not talking about mine specifically, but as long as the young players stay healthy and as long as they get some confidence within themselves, and as long as they get some type of energy and get some type of consistency, can get some type of repetitions, I think everybody would be great because you could pull out a young player that could mean so much to a playoff team.
And I mean that's it's just wrestling the thing. I mean, this would be summertime. This could be a good thing too because now you have to work on your game. So I mean, it's just to me that's just the biggest thing is just the development, and I mean it's just an adjustment. So I mean, can't nobody say well we're kind of dealing with unfair circumstances because I mean it's a pandemic. What can you do? So I mean, I think more than anything, it's just interesting to see how the development goes with the young players. I mean, because they have something to prove, and at least at this time, because the playoffs, of course, is going to be a different animal. But these 8 games before, I mean, anything goes, and a lot of times it is just the younger players' time to shine anyway. If you don't have nothing to play for, so we'll see.
Okay. So speaking on these games, what games that have already came? What have y'all watched? Like any of y'all caught any game?
I watched pretty much all of them. I don't come out the house. I'm like hermit, bro. The games is when I don't do nothing but just sit there and watch them. But I've caught basically all of them, one way or another. It's certain things that stick out to me. We'll definitely touch on them, but definitely, I mean, it's basketball's back, baby.
All right. What
I
about
caught
you?
a few. There's some teams that I saw that didn't surprise me by the way that they played or how they looked on the court. And there's some teams that I think that they still need to make some major adjustments. We'll get to that later on in the show. It's just I do think that back to the point of the young players as well. There's still teams in the bubble that have really nothing to lose. Ultimately,
Which teams you talking about? Like Brooklyn and
the Suns, they don't really have anything to lose. Brooklyn doesn't have anything to lose this season. Orlando never goes far, so what do they have to lose?
I mean, aren't they
They're a
kind of in
seventh
the
seed, but
yeah? So they got to lose a playoff spot.
yeah, but what I'm saying is they're most likely a first round out anyway. So what do they really have to lose?
Washington really is the why did you bring them, friend? Like, what is the purpose?
You see what I mean? There's still teams that just why are you here? So with those teams specifically, there's nothing. I mean, you still have great young core within them.
I mean, I guess you could have came with what 8 Western Conference and 8 Eastern, but at that point it just would have been the playoffs.
Yeah, you just might as well just have the playoffs. But there's some teams that that still are fighting for a playoff spot. I still don't understand Suns. Why the Suns here?
I don't understand why. It's like
great for Devin Booker. Shout out to Devin Booker. That's awesome.
Yeah, he going off.
I think the Suns are there, so the Grizzlies could end up getting screwed at some point. Because mathematically, they ended up probably putting up, okay, well, the Suns, you mathematically still have a chance to make the playoffs. So that way, if you throw Portland out there, New Orleans, and San Antonio and Sacramento, it don't look as bad because it's like, well, these guys still mathematically had a shot. We didn't eliminate nobody who couldn't make the playoffs. So when you look up, Memphis ain't in the playoffs, and Portland or San Antonio or New Orleans or one of those teams are sitting in that playoff spot. That's why the Suns are there, so it can make the jig is up, so it can make it look like we're trying to make things even because we brought the Suns. They here, they can play. Well, I mean, Memphis should have still kept that spot, but they just had to put lipstick on the pig, pretty much. So I mean, the Suns' inclusion is the kind of fatten up resumes. The Suns are, and the funny thing about all that is it's blowing up in NBA's face because the Suns are 3-0 right now.
Right, I mean,
so they brought them in to pretty much be Division I AA teams, but it ended up being the Suns just left them more confused than anything. But on their behalf, I will say that it's a good thing for them to get this type of playing time and get to develop some kind of summer program with their young guys, even if they're not going to make the playoffs. Because what's the extra 4 games? Because we all know that's what was going to happen. If Phoenix would have made the playoffs this year, they would have played the extra 4 games, got swept, and then hey, have fun in your summertime. Now they get to have 8 games against teams who are playing for something, kind of, and they get to compete and kind of choose that barometer. Because let's not forget at the beginning of the season, the Suns were playing pretty good basketball. Aiden got knocked, and then all of a sudden they went, spiral down. So I think for teams like that, and that's kind of a bubble theme. You have to find the beauty of the bubble. You
Right.
know, if that's a phrase that we can use, the beauty of the bubble. What are you here for? You know, the Wizards, they really are there for no apparent reason besides being mathematically still involved in it. But they're just there to, fatten up your resume, get you a little extra win. It's like having a jobber in wrestling, man. Sometimes you need that Brooklyn brawler, and that's what that's, that's what the Wizards is. Just count the lights, buddy, and turn them off after you're done. Because boy, Wizards, that's the team that represents our nation capital for sure.
I do have a small narrative about this whole a couple of the Western Conference.
Okay, what's your narrative?
Okay, so hear me out. So
It's not gonna be small when he starts out with "Hear Me Out."
yeah, it's gonna be some BS. When
I mean, I'll give you like a minute or two.
It's the same thing.
Okay,
as no
I'll condense
disrespect.
it. I'll condense it. The
No
reason,
disrespect,
okay,
bro. But
I think this is a narrative for the Rookie of the Year case. Ultimately, I think that's what it is.
Now,
think that
hold up.
everyone is
Before you go, this is going to be in favor of Ja, right?
listen. So, Ja is head and shoulders Rookie of the Year,
Okay.
or should be. But I think that people are trying their absolute hardest to have Zion as the Rookie of the Year. They're just like, okay, so they're not exactly in the playoffs yet, but we're going to put them in the bubble so they can have a chance. And then we know Zion's going to come back healthy, so he's a walking 25 and 10. We know that. So they're just like they're boosting off of the momentum that he had in the games that he's played.
I mean, he played 23 minutes. It took him 25 shots to get 23 points. I don't know if he'll walk in 25 and 10.
It's a projection. Like if you saw him healthy, if you was on the court and you would just see, okay, what would you average? He's a walking 25 and 10.
Okay.
You know, like a Ja could be like a walking, I don't know, like 26 and 7 by the time he gets to his like second, third season. You know what I mean? So it's just like what you know. Like LeBron is like a 27, 9 and 9. He's a walking 27, 9 and 9.
All right, but
so
to finish,
so I just think that they're trying to make this argument closer than what it really is. Ultimately, I think that's where that comes from. And then with the Grizzlies hanging off the balance of coming off of the playoffs, and then with the Pelicans hanging on to a playoff spot or trying to get into it, they're going to be, say for instance, the Grizzlies don't make it, but the Pelicans do. They're going to easily be like, oh yeah, Zion led a team to the playoffs. Where did Ja go? But Ja still had better stats, played more games, and he meant more to his team at the end of the day.
Okay.
So I think that's what the narrative comes into. I think they're trying to cheat Ja. But they're trying to do it for ratings. They're trying to do it for the numbers. They're trying to do it for the narrative. You know what I mean?
I could see that.
Big Duke player, this next generational talent that we've seen since high school. So we're going to it's kind of like the Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James effect. Carmelo Anthony had a better first year than LeBron, as quiet as it's kept. Barely, but
I mean, I wouldn't say he had a better one.
Carmelo Anthony
it was just
the
as
playoffs
good.
his first year, though.
I mean, yeah, but LeBron took the worst team in the East, and I think they weren't in the playoffs.
He missed the playoffs.
I know he missed the playoffs, but like he at least won 40 games. He doubled the games that I think they won the season before.
It was the impact. I understand that, but
it's a better story at that. Like they always say, it's always a story.
So you see, my point is the story. It's not the stat. It's narratives over facts.
So you really okay?
I really believe that.
All right, yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, it's narratives over facts.
Okay. All right. Well, we're about to go on a quick break, and then when we come back, we will talk Jonathan Isaac and the Magic. Right? Talk about that injury.
The what's the name? The United Center. On point the other day.
Well, we're back. If you didn't know.
Oh no, I know.
I mean, they didn't catch everything you said.
Oh,
you said
that's fine. That's fine.
You know, you saying you was hooping at a United Center or something.
Yeah, we was doing the IBT Brick League joint.
Right.
You know what I do? 40 fresh off the couch, man.
That's a lot, but hey, we back. Some more open gym. We about to talk Jonathan Isaac injury. You want to take that off, Marvell?
All right, ISO ball.
Wait, hold up. Before you go, I would like to just say that he did a hop step, the same thing that Derrick Rose did. Mm-hmm. Is that what you about to focus on?
I'm just about to focus on the entire scenario.
Okay. All right, go off.
So this makes me mad, honestly. Jonathan Isaac, if you don't know, is an Orlando Magic's forward. You can put at the 3 or the 4 position, no, depending on where you want to put him. He's a good talent. He's from Florida State University. Slow starter. He has a bit of a game to him though. He's coming along. He's doing great. He's developing very nicely. You could argue that he's a top 10 power forward in the league, but like it would be like the low parts of the list. You know what I mean? So the situation though was this. I believe it was 10:46 left in the fourth quarter. You're up by 28. 28 points with 10 minutes left in the game against someone that doesn't matter. Right? Someone that you're spanking at this point. I think it was the Wizards if I was. It's somebody.
No, it was wait, was it when did he get injured? Yesterday?
The other day.
The other day?
Ooh, can't remember.
What's today? Wednesday. He got hurt Monday.
Okay, Monday. Because I was about to say it was the Pacers.
It was Monday or Sunday.
It wasn't the Pacers.
Yeah,
It definitely
I don't
wasn't the
think
Pacers.
It wasn't the Pacers.
It was definitely a team that does not matter. I want to say the Wizards so bad.
All right. But keep going. I'm going to look it up.
But yeah. Over 10 minutes left in the game. You're up by almost 30 and you have one of your best players in. This is exactly like D Rose. D Rose's situation was you're up by 10 with a little less than 2 minutes to go.
It was the Nets.
It was the Nets?
Yeah.
Okay, so a team that the net in that situation, the Nets were 8th seed and the Magic were 7th seed. And their records, I believe, were tied at that point. So the winner was going to take a game ahead. I think the Magic were a half a game ahead anyway. So your situational is you have one of your best players in, debatably top 3, if not number 2. And he's in there with over 10 minutes left in the game, up by 30, and then you're playing against someone you're ahead of in ranking, and Orlando's actually ahead of some of the Western Conference teams that are in the bubble, but they're on the lower part of the list. So looking at your situational, why is Jonathan Isaac in? Why? If you're up by almost 30, what kind of comeback is going to happen? Most likely. You know what I mean? Like this is the perfect opportunity. I know Jonathan Isaac is young. I get that. But you have a lot more of roster to play with.
It was actually the Kings. Or did you say the Kings?
Kings?
Yeah, it was Sacramento.
Oh, Sacramento. Yeah, it was Sacramento. Okay, so it was Sacramento. Even worse.
Wait, where are they on the Western Conference rankings?
They're like 10th.
Okay. Yeah, that was
that's bad. That's bad. You're going up against a 10th team that's not going to make the playoffs at all. And you're beating them almost 30. So it's just like, yeah, like why is your second best player still in the game? If you're a playoff team. And you're ahead of you're ahead of like 5 teams that's fighting for a playoff spot. Or the 8th seed or in their respective conference. And you're a game and a half ahead. Why is Jonathan Isaac in? Why?
I mean, that's a good question. So
it's not like it's literally the situational that I had about Derrick Rose. I give Derrick Rose a lot of HE double hockey sticks. I do, but it's the fan base. I'm not gonna lie, it's the fan base, but it's the situational at hand that just makes me just want to put hands on people. It's just why would you do that? There's no sense of risking your top players in a game that you already won. When you're barely in the playoffs, but you're in there anyway. Why would you risk the bet your health of the bet? There's absolutely no way LeBron is going to be in a fourth quarter if the Lakers are up by 30 against like a team like the Hornets in any given game. That's just not how it works. I mean, there's no comparison between LeBron and Jonathan Isaac. Don't get me wrong. Please don't. I'm just saying in the sense of you're not going to put your best player, your top 3 best players on the court if you're up by a large margin and the game's pretty much over.
Okay. I mean, I see your point, but at the same time, they just wanted to put the game away, and no one really knew he was gonna get hurt. It's not like they knew that
I
coming
get
in.
that. You just have to look at that potential of like what could happen, just because we've seen it happen before.
Right.
So it's just like if you look at that playoff series that Rose was in against the 76ers when he got hurt, the 76ers beat him.
Right.
Because they didn't have Rose. Rose was their entire offense. It was Rose, and then it's just pure defense everywhere. You didn't have a second leading scorer for real. If your second leading scorer is Joakim Noah, just stop playing basketball. You don't have a chance. You don't. Especially with a team that had Iguodala, Drew Holiday, and the rest of that crew. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, why would you do that to yourself? Especially when you're not as talented of a team in the Orlando Magic. And like I was saying in the early parts of the show, you're going to most likely be a first round out anyway. Why not fight? You're going to have the best weapons out available. So why not fight? I also think this too. I'm weird. I'm extremely weird.
Really?
No. Watch this. I'm weird in the sense of this, in the way I think of this.
Would have never guessed it.
Remember when it was like a small little. It was a couple of days before this game, or like a game before this.
Are you gonna talk about how he stood and then took a knee?
Yes.
I was gonna mention
he was sacrificed.
I was gonna mention a tweet that
he was sacrificed.
Somebody said because he didn't take a knee, God took his knee.
Yeah, his ancestor took his knee.
That's crazy.
And that's nuts. That he was sacrificed.
That's crazy that you gonna bring that up.
Yeah, he was sacrificed.
So since you gonna bring that up, I'm just gonna cut you off for coming at that man's knee like that.
No. I'm not coming down on his knee like that because I just feel like that's wrong. I feel like those comments are wrong. That's bad. But I also feel like that was deliberate. There's no other way around it. I don't know if it's karma. I don't want to say karma because that's just terrible. He had a reason why he did what he did, but like why?
Yeah, he had a reason. Bro. He had a legit reason for not standing up. It was a good reason.
Legitimate.
So it's kind of sad to see him go out because he is talented.
Yeah, it's the irony of it. The irony of the situation. You not taking a knee, yeah, we'll take it out.
Right.
It's bad.
I'll tell you whose knees need to buckle. The people that count the who stands, who sits. Who cares? Seriously, I could care less. That is why you don't want politics and sports mixed, because now you have this. I legitimately I couldn't tell you what I did the last 5 national anthems. I swear to you. I guarantee you I wasn't standing there saluting it. I can guarantee that. I can guarantee I was probably getting up, getting me something to eat, drink, something else. I'm doing something different each and every time the national anthem comes by. I'm not looking at I could care less about what happens before the ball is tipped. Now, that may be me, but I would rather all my sports fans look at things that way instead of who's standing, who's sitting. Who cares? I wish you could say bad words on here because I'll say who blanket cares. That's how I feel about the whole situation. I don't care whether you stand or sit, bro. I care what you do on that basketball court. On that basketball court, Jonathan Isaac was the baller. Flat out. He could he played both ways. He was ascending. He was doing what he needed to do. I can understand a little bit why Orlando still had him out there because he hasn't played that much. You want to get him as much playing time and experience as possible. I get that. But at the same time, you got to use better judgment. And a blowout is still a blowout. He's still one of your more important players. You got younger players, younger than him, that need playing time too. Stick them out there. That's what you have bench warmers for. That's what you have players that don't get that many minutes for, so you can go ahead and throw them out there when it's time. But as far as him getting sacrificed or, the ancestors taking, look, bro, I'm tired of all of that. Throw the ball in the air and rave like you just don't care. Let's get the tip off. Let's get the tip in, whatever the case may be. However you get it done, get it done. Let's play some basketball. Like, you have to be the worst person in the world. Forget anything else. You're the worst person in the world to stand there and they probably got a little calculator and a freaking notepad and glasses hanging down like this, looking like the dude off of Recess, counting everybody that doesn't stand. Who cares? Randall.
Oh,
who cares?
All right, let's move on to a whole new topic because T just went off about this.
Man, because who cares?
No, legit, T has a point.
I mean, he has a point. Yeah,
you're a big dweeb. Like, he's not standing up. He's nil. Who cares? Who's standing holding the trophy? That's what I want to know. At
Yes.
the end of the season, who's standing up holding the trophy?
He's
That's
just
what I
happy to
care
have
about.
some. He's
To
happy to
play
have some
devil's
sports back.
advocate, but I'm completely in 110% on T side. To play devil's advocate, you gotta look at politics and sports should not mix, but at the same time they're who they are, and their platform is much bigger than ours.
Yeah, so
Right.
somebody need to come out there and be like, who cares?
Like Michael Porter Jr. for example, like they're dogging him because of his opinions, and it's like what Mike Malone said. Coach Mike Malone said he said it best. He never wants to put any type of filter on his players when it comes to speaking their mind. It's just make sure you're educated and make sure you're careful in what you're saying, because it lead to a media uproar. It can lead to so much hatred. It can lead to so many unnecessary things in
Right.
life, because we're in a lifetime where the simplest wrong thing could lead to the passing or the violence or just the hatred that could easily spread. Social media is one of those things that if you take an inch, it'll take a mile. So it's just one of those things that you have to know where exactly you're at when you say these things. There's no way you're just going to be at a party throwing up blood in a gang in a crip neighborhood. Know where you're at. I mean, it's not that extreme, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, like know where you
know
at.
where you're at. Know your surroundings and know what you're talking about before you do it. Think before you act.
I mean, you hit the needle on the head when you say if you're gonna speak out, be educated on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you ain't have to go so far with the analogy, but we was there with you. But let's take it off that topic. Let's take it off that topic. But before we go on to the next one, check us out at scoreonair.com, or scoreonair at facebook.com, whatever. Where we have all our live streams, our blogs, daily content. Just check us out, scoreonair.com. So next topic we got Tom Thibodeau. How y'all feeling? New head coach in the Knicks.
Tibbs back.
Hey, you mentioned Derrick Rose, so I was like, let's go straight to Tom Thibodeau.
T, you want to set this one off?
I mean, Tibbs is a dude that needs to be a head coach. New York, I'm just gonna use the time. Like I can speak, I can say words, but
This is all frustration.
they get that because why there? Like Tibbs, I get the New York flashing lights, I get that, but you're going to need to be a younger team. Like you're going to need to develop, you're going to need to grow, you're going to need to not get ran out the gym, and Tibbs ain't the guy for that. I think New York should have got a coach that can kind of grow with them. They've been trying these retreats forever. Not too long ago it was Fizdale, and we're happy to have Fizdale. 2 years later, he's gone. And it's just, what are you doing besides selling hopes and dreams?
I mean, at that point, I don't really blame Fizdale.
It wasn't Fizdale's fault. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Okay.
they keep bringing these kind of patchy coaches. The Fizdale was better off with a veteran team. I felt like Tom Thibodeau's better off with a veteran team. But you're going to bring him into this situation where you're obviously rebuilding. You're going to need player development. That's just not what Tibbs does. Tibbs does that with.
So speaking on like a coach that's good at developing players, you talking like a Mark Jackson or something?
Yes, because that made perfect sense for the past 5 years.
He wouldn't be the worst, but I mean, I'm talking about the Sam Cassells of the world. Just somebody who hasn't had a shot.
All right, so
kind of going to that Lloyd Pierce kind of branch.
Like bring in like a young coach to help to mature along, like
somebody that can grow with you. You know that he's
like
young.
What is it, Luke Walton up in Boston? No, it's not Luke.
He's in
Sacramento now.
Yeah. Who's
somewhere around that ilk? The Darvin Ham. Somebody that knows a little bit about the game, but can be able to coach and develop your young talent, and it's less expectations. It's like the Knicks keep bringing expectations to a situation where they're not going to be able to beat them.
I meant Brad Stevens. My bad.
Brad Stevens is special though. He's a different kind of coach.
Yes.
He's Tibbs is a good coach in his own right, but I just think you have to put him in a position to succeed.
Okay.
And I think with New York, it may be if New York does well, it's gonna be after Tibbs is gone. Like Tibbs might be there the first couple years. They get a couple young talented rookies, and then when they need to go to that next step, Tibbs will be the guy that's gone because he's not the dude that's going to develop this young talent. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully he does bring some type of stability to New York because I'm tired of hearing about him. New York ain't been relevant in ages, but every year you hear about them maybe being good or maybe doing something special or just in the news for whatever reason, and they're doing nothing to prove why they should be in the news outside of their dysfunctional Dolans is what I call them. I could care less about how they go about the back page stuff. What happens on the court, and for the last seems like decade, they just been disappointing. So I mean, Tibbs is a good coach, but I just think that he's going to get the short end of the stick again because he's in another situation that he can't necessarily show off his strengths. I can see Tibbs over there, and I mean, I know Clippers have their coach, but a team like that, like the Clippers, Dallas, maybe, if Carlisle went somewhere, Indiana would be a good fit for him. They're kind of built under that Tibbs mold. But New York, where you have to get young talent and develop, and you don't have nothing to start with. RJ Barrett was cool. Mitchell Robinson's all right, but they're not upper echelon talents.
I mean, I get like they're not upper echelon, but RJ Barrett can hold it down for a little bit.
He can, but
Mitch Robinson's pretty good as well. But I see T's point.
He gonna get you 24 wins. It's just it is what it is. Like you can look real pretty with 24 wins.
I mean, like you give him a sidekick or you make him the sidekick of someone, it's gonna look a little better.
Yeah, in a couple years. But for Tibbs, it's just that he's not a player development coach. I don't think. I think he's a guy that you just need a veteran squad around him. And I think him going to New York and that's the dream job, it can quickly turn into a nightmare. And unless New York's front office, like it's not even an indictment on Tibbs, because Tibbs is just a coach.
Right.
You call me, I don't call you. That's how these things work. They picked up the phone. They called Tibbs. They said, "Let's come in and do an interview."
The report said that he can win over Scott Perry, the GM. Like I don't know how that happened, but
I mean because Tibbs is a name. You
right.
know what Tibbs can do, but you don't have the team for Tibbs.
Tibbs' resume is actually very, very fire when you think about it. Actually, T, question for you. You might know the answer to this. After he coached Chicago, he coached Minnesota, and I think there was one more team, right?
No, Minnesota was it. Yeah, because he was the president.
I mean, those Minnesota years wasn't that great though.
No. I was just trying to see another point, but go ahead, T. Were you finished?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so I agree with T. This isn't a good look. He's not one of those coaches that needs young players. His most success has came from a veteran team.
Okay.
When you look at the Bulls, what their veteran leadership was, and their best player was their youngest player. He was a special talent.
But he was surrounded by vets like Boozer and all them.
Exactly. But they're also defensive. Here's the thing about the Knicks. The Knicks have kept hiring defensive-minded coaches.
And you think that's the wrong?
I think.
Well, I mean,
when you start to look at it now,
it's the wrong approach.
It's kind of like the wrong approach. When you start looking at it, like right now, the past 2-3 coaches have been defensive. The last time you really seen New York really run through some good years of playoffs was when they had what is his name the coach for the Rockets now? Mike D'Antoni.
Yeah.
Right. So when they run offense, the Knicks are actually pretty good. Well, that's just how I guess the franchise should be ran. But my thing is with Tom Thibodeau too. Tom Thibodeau scares me because with every Tom Thibodeau team. Also, when you look at his a part of his resume, he coached Team USA. I think in 2012, gold medal team. So vets, right? My thing is with Coach Thibodeau. Every Coach Thibodeau team has a player that leads the league in minutes. It's always somebody, whether it be, it wasn't Rose, but it was Luol Deng and it was Jimmy Butler. They had those capabilities because they were so long-winded like that towards games, but he would kill them. he would play him like 44 minutes a game. Stuff like that, when I seen a season where Luol Deng led the league in minutes, I was shocked for one. For two, I know he was like the second option offensively. For three, the amount of minutes he played in comparison to everyone else, like LeBron and D Wade, like they would play like in like the high 30s. Luol Deng will play like 5 minutes extra over them. It's scary. And what happens to them? They get injured. They get tired. They get fatigued. And you don't want to do that to your best player. And that's what I fear too. And the Knicks are going to have like a top 3 pick, right? I guarantee. Okay, so here's my prediction. The Knicks are going to get the number 1 pick this year. And they're going to pick a LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball is going to play an hour and a half a game.
So you saying he's
going to wear LaMelo out, man,
like he did there?
Like he did there. He's going to run somebody down the ground.
But I mean, if they get LaMelo, he could complement RJ Barrett. That could actually.
But one of them is playing like 50 minutes a game, unnecessarily.
I mean, if they take care of their body, we seen it's possible to do this.
It is, but no, man, it's hard to do. It's extremely hard.
I'm not saying it's not hard to do. I'm just saying like
because you signed a contract to play 82 games a season.
All right,
and that's not easy at all. Like I always go by the term of what Klay Thompson said. Klay Thompson said the biggest adjustment that he had to get through between college seasons and NBA seasons was the scheduling, because you barely have time to sit during the NBA season to rest. Time is very valuable. So, and then you're talking about people who do this for a living. You're talking about actual hoopers. You're talking about people that come out in interviews like, I'm not sitting. You got Westbrooks, you got Hardens, you got people like that. I'm not sitting. What are you talking about? I'm not tired. You have those type of people. And a lot of those people, like athletes, don't listen to their bodies a lot. They do, but they don't. It's their pride. It's what they do. It's how they carry themselves. It's how they feed their families. It's how they feed themselves. It's what they're known for. It's a brand that they have to keep up. So I just believe that Tom Thibodeau, as a coach, is not the right situation for the New York Knicks. I don't think that they have the defensive pieces to be a defensive team for Tom Thibodeau's system. Unless they're banking on something to do in the free agency, but no one wants to go to the Knicks. I think that the Knicks organization doesn't think ahead. They don't think of the worst scenarios. They just let it happen. So I just think that with all these free agents that's coming out this year and next year especially, like players like next year of Giannis, or LeBron or any of those players of those calibers, they're not going to get them. Because, like what KD said, they haven't been relevant since I've had my career. And the New York Knicks haven't won a championship since what, 71? Not even 71. I think that was the Lakers that won it in 70, 71. No, or was it 70?
I think the Knicks got it in 71, 72.
Right.
I want to say.
So in the days of Walt Clyde Frazier, when afros were popping, everybody looked like Rondell casually.
Oh.
Hold on now, relax on my afro, bro.
Yeah, take a shot at
the last champion.
Shot at the puff.
The last championship was 73.
73. So yeah, almost 100 years ago. So
come on, man.
So yeah, man, it's wrong math. You don't have to do that.
Why is there so much math in here, bro?
Because
it's another day of math.
Over exaggeration.
If over exaggerations make me do math, cut the over exaggeration.
No one told you to do math.
But I had to.
No, you didn't have to do. You're a grown man.
I know.
All right, but look, I agree with both of y'all, but let's just wait to see.
I don't know. I also think that Mark Jackson still, like I said, within the past 5 years.
Yeah, he should definitely have a job. But
he's
I mean,
a New Yorker.
Let's be honest. He
used to play in New York. He knows the atmosphere. He runs great offense. And look what he did for Golden State's organization before Steve Kerr took over.
I mean, but look, he couldn't get him over the hump, though. He couldn't get him over the Clippers.
I get that, but I also feel like with Mark Jackson is kind of like one of the conceited ones. You think you're this and you're that, but if you were, wouldn't you have somebody already? Like Mark Jackson's been unemployed for the longest of time.
I mean, let's be honest. He an announcer now, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
He probably enjoying that. He probably
Yeah, he's
getting
probably
paid
just enjoying his retirement.
pretty
I would.
good.
Okay. Also, too, you gotta think of it too. Like, if I was Mark Jackson, you want to go to the Knicks?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
But that's kind of my that's my thing with him and his, because his name comes up every time a coaching situation pops up. But that's always my thing. Like, if he's not getting the interview, what does that tell you? Like, it's bigger than that.
It could be he got blackballed. Who really knows?
That's crazy.
Either that or people just don't mess with him like that.
I mean, it can, and you can look at it two ways. Because I mean, I get what Marvell's saying about what he did with the Warriors, but then the next year, after he was gone, they won the championship. So you can look at it that way and say, well,
but they let him go after going to the Western Conference Finals.
I mean, come on, but he couldn't get over the Clippers at the time. Like the Clippers was one of his biggest, obstacles.
They lost to the Clippers.
Yeah, they lost to the Clippers of like
who
2 or 3 years in a row.
When?
What do you mean?
No, I'm saying like who did the Clippers lose to like after that then?
After that,
yeah, because I had to be semifinals.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Before he got to that Western Conference Finals, he used to always lose to the Clippers.
Spurs, right? I'm trying to like just go back in time. I'm not arguing anything. I'm just
you asking me to go back in time. That's crazy.
The Clippers beat him, then it was the Spurs that beat him in the conference finals. Then
I think the Clippers beat him the year that Mark Jackson was coaching, and then the very next year, that's when Steph Curry broke down Chris Paul's ankles, and they beat him the next year, and then they beat him the year after that because the Clippers couldn't. The Clippers were beating the Warriors until Mark Jackson was gone. Then the Clippers couldn't beat the Warriors anymore.
They got rid of Blake Griffin before anybody, right?
No, they still have Blake when the Warriors started beating them. They still had him.
So who did they trade before then? Who was the first to go between?
The first to go was probably
CP3 was the first to go.
Was he the first to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, was he?
Yeah. He was the first to go, and then that's when Pat Bear. I think they went the same offseason actually.
Yeah, I think CP3 was the last. Was the
first to go. CP3 went that summer, and then Blake went early in that very next year.
Yeah, because he got traded to the Pistons in mid-season.
And then they had that's when they had Tobias Harris and Boban. They played a little bit,
and then they had Pat Bev still.
Then they made, hold on.
Wait, just like
Blake might have been gone before.
No, they might have got Pat Bev from the Rockets at that point. Yeah, he was with the Rockets. Because remember, like he had Pat Bev had beef with Westbrook when he was with the Rockets.
Yeah, I remember that. But who did they trade to get him? Or did they just?
I think they picked him up in free agency.
All right, look, just like math, we shouldn't be going this far back in time. Especially if we can't remember it. That's a lot to look up too.
I think we're close.
Yeah, I think we're close.
It's just the years. We got the events correct. It's just the years.
Listen, I don't know what day is today.
I don't know yet.
That's all we need to know.
Yeah, but all right, let's move on to let's talk a little Lou Williams. Little Lou Williams, he was back yesterday or the day before?
He got some wings and some legs. All right.
It was social distancing, so
I wonder how.
It depends on what wings it is for me to leave the bubble.
I think it was lemon pepper.
Now I'm mad at Lou Will.
I mean, at certain places, I hear lemon pepper wings is actually fire.
I just can't get with lemon pepper, man.
I mean, lemon pepper is usually hyped up.
Yes.
They're okay.
Shout out to Rick Ross, though.
I mean, but
I think you gotta get them wet though. Lemon pepper wet.
Get him wet.
All right, let's keep going.
Now,
but what y'all thinking on Lou?
I want to see how that social distance lap dance went though. Like that's my thing.
That's crazy. You ain't see the tweet? I think it was like a picture of a tweet. They had like strip club drive-through.
A strip club drive-through.
Yeah.
Like let me get Naomi.
All right, let me get Naomi and some lemon pepper wings.
Let me get Cherokee and let me get a 24-piece.
Okay.
Cherokee.
And a bottle of Henny for my man JR.
See, this is why we always almost getting canceled.
Right? What are we talking about right now?
This is why we always close to getting canceled. Somehow, Lou Will, I gotta blame Lou Will on this one.
This one might get deleted too.
We went, man, listen.
Man, we having fun.
But yeah, I mean that is that's the story. He did go to Magic City. Now I do feel him. The friend that was lost, you have to pay your respects. I get it. Um, and everybody won't, necessarily understand how you could be paying your respects at a strip club. I get that whole, that whole situation completely. But I mean, I still do believe at the same time, um, there's just certain things you probably shouldn't do, especially when you are dealing with the bubble situation. You can pay your respects different ways. I feel like I get it, things aren't ideal in this life right now. I mean, you don't want to pinpoint when a friend goes or whatever. You can't do nothing about it. But I've seen funerals where people had to wear masks. I've seen funerals that people have watched them virtually. This is it's a lot of different developments that come with it now. Not to say that Lou Williams should feel bad, but you are an athlete. You are in a situation where there's a whole bunch of non coronavirus people there. And by you can't be too safe. You go into this Magic City,
So he should have been more responsible, basically.
you have to. Like I get trying to pay your respects, but you can pay your respects a different way. I get if you want them wings, get the wings a different way. You're at home.
Understand your situation.
There's Ubers, what I'm saying? There's Postmates, there's DoorDash, all that. If you can't do any of those, you should have friends, should have associates. You should be able to get those wings that you so desire without having to go to that place yourself. Come on, man. Like that to me, I get the excuse, but it's not valid enough for me because you didn't have to do that. I'm always weary of people doing things that they don't have to do. And to me, Lou Williams didn't necessarily have to do that. Rather, you want to pay your respects or not. Send some flowers, send a couple dollars, video call, something. But you cannot be too safe. Magic City's not doing what the bubble's doing. I can see if you walk in there and there's shoving a Q-tip up your nose to get you tested. They're not doing any of that. They're probably checking your temperature and then walk in the door.
I mean, check your temperature and then strip club drive through.
But you're still putting other people at risk when you go back,
Right.
because now Lou Will had to get caught up. What happens if you do that and you come back to that bubble, you don't say nothing, and then an outbreak comes out of it?
I mean, they had to know that he left, right? Because he was already in there, right?
They know you left, but they don't. He went home to take care of some family stuff.
Yeah, personal business.
Yeah, they don't know what you're doing when you get home. They know your plans pretty much, but they can't protect you the whole time that you're at the crib. They don't send no walking security with you to make sure you don't get them wings in that lap dance. They just let you kind of do what you do, and
Right.
they just expect you to be safe and be smart. Lou Williams wasn't safe and wasn't smart. And, this is kind of what happened. I think it'll be water under the bridge after a while, just because you kind of need something to talk about, and it's low key funny at the moment. But at the same time, it's just you have to be smarter. And,
Okay.
Again, you didn't have to stay in that bubble. You can leave and be gone for a while. So
That man is from Philly.
All right, what you think, Marvel?
Again, it's just knowing your situationals, knowing who you are, what you're doing.
Hold on, situational?
Yeah, just knowing like a situation.
Is that a real word?
No,
I think you just made that up.
I was about to
it's
say.
not a word. Just know it's kind of like when I say situationals, it's just like know where you're at, what you're doing, and what you're doing it for, and just be aware. You're an NBA player. Coronavirus is out. You're in a bubble. You're getting paid. You're one of the best players on your team, on the best team in basketball. One of the best.
I was about to say.
Yeah, like he's one of the best players on the Clippers, right?
I mean, he's still a glorified 6-man.
But still, like he has a very important role. Is what I'm
Right.
saying. So if you take out Lou Will off that bench, there's a lot of scoring that's going to be missing. That's what I'm saying. So he means a lot to the team, and leadership as well. Lou Will's leadership is high. If you don't know or not, but when you miss a player like that, you're not only just like messing up your money, you're not messing up your team's chemistry, you're messing up your life here, potentially. It's just knowing what you're over, like strippers and wings. Ultimately,
Strippers
and wings.
I mean, if the wings is fire, I get that.
No. I'm not mad at the wings.
Yeah, I'm not mad at the wings.
I'm not mad at the wings. It's just, I mean, again, it's just knowing where you are, what you're doing, and what could possibly happen.
Right. So
you can't be any more safe.
So
so
was he eating the wings while getting the lap dance?
I mean, might as well.
But well, I guess if you
I
can't
don't
touch
know
the
because I don't
strippers,
want no sauce.
Look, all right. Before we
just
go,
handprint sauce.
all right. Let's keep it. Let's keep it PG.
Carolina goat cheese.
All right. So what we have been fined is
barbecue sauce bottoms, baby.
all right, bro.
Barbecue bottoms.
All right, bro. All right.
You gonna get canceled again. Man, I'm tired of this, man.
All right, bro. So
Happy I have 2 shows.
Oh my god.
So real quick.
That was a smart move on that one.
Real quick before we move on to the upcoming games. Would we have been fine if he just after he left the bubble, went home, and then went to the strip club, he stayed away for like a couple of days, then came back?
He should just not one period. I mean, you will have time to hit the strip club at some point in time. I'm pretty sure going back to the conversations we had earlier, like the bubble probably has almost everything you want and need there. Now,
And
do
they got a
have
barbershop
Magic?
now. Might as well make a strip club.
Now, do they have a no? They
Wow.
may.
I mean, you might as well just have a Magic City there.
Then players wouldn't leave the bubble.
Exactly.
I don't think after that. But I mean,
I would be tired of seeing the same women. You have to switch up the rotation.
I think
Of course.
honestly, before we are able to make an honest opinion about this, we need to go to Magic City and get some of them wings because until
Exactly.
then, we don't know.
We gotta
can't-
know,
Can't speak on the struggle.
right? We just talking. We don't know what the wings down in Atlanta is like. Magic City, let's go.
Road trip. I do
Hey.
know about Bojangles there. If any of them wings taste anything close to Bojangles, boy, sign me up.
Bojangles is hard like that. I ain't never had Bojangles. That's one of those South things I want to try.
We gonna talk about it more until they give us the sponsorship, though. Then we talk about Bojangles all the time.
I don't care if we get a sponsorship. I'll like your wings if they trash.
We got space. We got space and time. Go ahead and throw that sponsorship out here.
Just pay for my future. That's all I want.
All right, okay. So let's move on real quick to upcoming games. Y'all want to talk about? We got Memphis at Utah, Philly at Washington, Denver at San Antonio, Oklahoma City at Los Angeles, the Lakers, Toronto at Orlando, and Brooklyn at Boston. Let's talk about the games today.
That sounds good to you,
Yeah, that sounds like an awesome lineup of basketball games.
Yeah, for real.
Let's start with the one that comes on in about an hour and a half.
Mind you, let's keep it a
Don't
little
that
quick.
sound good?
I'm gonna watch it. So let's discuss Utah and Memphis.
Oh no, we can't watch it. We have a show to do. 2:30.
Oh, snap, we do got a show at
Yeah, there's
2:30.
a Big Ten football release schedule right here on Score Their Network. Make sure to check us out.
Here.
Plug time. Go ahead.
That was a nice plug.
You
Right
got me.
there.
That's trying to do what I do.
That was a nice plug. But hey,
Big or not?
before y'all go off on these on the schedule of games upcoming, let's keep it 5 minutes.
Okay, cool. That's easy.
See what it was 7-8 minutes.
That's
No,
rapid
I'm just
fire,
kidding,
really.
bro.
There's some of the games that really don't need thought.
Man, this man want me to produce. I started producing. He talking about 7 minutes.
All right, so Memphis and Utah. I got Memphis. Reason why I have Memphis is because Utah, from what I've seen, looks sloppy on offense. Their offense just looks like it's a disaster. Mike Conley going to Utah wasn't a good move that I thought it was going to be, and I just think that with Memphis' high potent offense and their switch up pace, they're going to overwhelm Utah.
I'm going with the Jazz. The Grizzlies just lost Jaren Jackson, so I mean that they was already taking L's left and right, and that's a huge L because I think he's their second best player. John Morant, he hasn't been playing like he should be playing, and he's been playing like he wants to lose that playoff spot. So I'm going with the Jazz because the Jazz seeding wise, they're more healthy and they know they need it more. So I'll take the Jazz.
Yeah, I'm going with the Jazz too. They're the veteran team. They're more seasoned. Yeah, they're not as young as Memphis is, but they got the better defense than me. So. All right, Philly and Washington. I'm definitely going Philly. That's no question.
We don't need to discuss that. We all got it.
All right,
Bye.
yeah. All right, Denver and San Antonio. I mean, that's kind of easy too. That's Denver.
Not necessarily.
It's not necessarily easy.
I wouldn't say it's
tell
easy,
you that
but
as a Denver
I'm definitely
fan.
going Denver though.
Especially with Pop in this kind of situation because this is a team that makes the playoffs.
Right.
Like this is the kind of weird wacky season that we have all year long. We go around and Spurs ain't making the playoffs. Oh, their streaks broken. Spurs aren't the Spurs anymore. And then the pandemic happens, and then you look up and the Spurs are sitting there at the 8th seed with a 6-2 record in the bubble, and you're looking at yourself like, whoa, why did I pick against Pop? With that being said, I'm still going with the Nuggets here today, because Nuggets are just better.
I think the fluidity of Denver's offense and the unpredictability of who's going to go off is going to be the 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 main topic of today's game between the Spurs and the Nuggets. I believe that they have too many weapons you have to look out for as far as looking at San Antonio. San Antonio has probably the best basketball coach to ever live. And it's so weird to see San Antonio in this deep of the season with a losing record, let alone barely making the playoffs. I don't feel comfortable with that. But I think that this is Denver's time. And if you look at last year's season, when you look at last year's season and you look at how they matched up in the playoffs, we're a little bit of a different team. Each team is a little bit different now, but I just think that Denver has too much firepower.
Okay. Oklahoma City at Los Angeles.
That's a tough game.
I mean, I kind of got Los Angeles, but that's kind of a trap game right there. If they not on their P's and Q's, then Oklahoma City could take that.
And that's the thing with the Lakers, I feel like, is what Lakers team are you getting because you already secured the number one seed. So what do you have to play for?
Yeah.
If you're still out there playing, trying to get some continuity and trying to get your chemistry together, then I mean I can say the Lakers. But I know the Thunder have something to play for, and I mean the Lakers at this point they don't. So, with that still being said, I don't think the Lakers are resting players this early yet. I know Milwaukee did it, but Milwaukee reasonably thought they could beat Brooklyn in a way that without having their best players play a lot. So I think the Lakers are smarter than that. I think they know that they have to play against some type of talent. And for them, I think it's a good thing to play against elite point guards because that's going to be their problem spot on how to defend them. So the more Chris Paul actually you get with your starters out there, the better. So I'm going with LA on this one.
Let me go with the upset. I'll go with the upset of taking OKC.
Okay.
I think that Chris Paul. I think the backcourt of OKC is going to have a very big game. This game specifically. I think that Anthony Davis is going to have a monster game as well. I think that LeBron is going to have a pretty subparish LeBron game. But what's a subparish LeBron game?
I mean, he seemed like he's just taking, Yeah,
he's just breezing by. But LeBron's going to be in playoff mode, so it's just like we're not even going to sit here and discuss him. I think that OKC showed a lot of they could trade buckets with one of the best offensive teams on paper with Denver. They played an excellent game. I was actually watching the highlights of that game last night. I just think that Chris Paul is going to show off why he's Chris Paul and why he's point guard in this game.
Okay. All right. Toronto, Orlando.
Stop it.
You don't want to talk about
it? We know. We already know who's winning.
We know Toronto is winning? Okay.
Van Fleet's probably dropping for you.
I'm about to go with Toronto. Just because I don't think Toronto necessarily has something to prove, but I think Toronto, it's important for them to go in with momentum. And I think they're still kind of playing that us against the world mentality kind of thing. So I think it's going to win out for them. The Magic, they could be scary, especially dealing with the Isaac loss. I can see them kind of rising up to the occasion and still feeling like you need to show something because you have something to play for, and this is a potential matchup first round. So if you can't beat them under these circumstances, you're probably going to get swept too. So I think Orlando needs that momentum going in, but I still think Toronto's too good of a team to let Orlando beat them.
Okay, in the last game, Brooklyn, Boston. I got Boston, but I don't know about you.
Is KD and Kyrie playing?
No.
Okay, Boston.
Hold up. Brooklyn got no stars right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No stars.
Yeah. We really want to talk about that?
Unless you want to count Karis LeVert as their best player right now. It's Karis LeVert.
They would need Eddie LeVert, Gerald too.
I knew that was coming.
You know it.
I think Boston's going to win, but Boston's going to look incredibly sloppy. I think that this is going to be one of those games you just look at Boston. It's just like, dude,
I don't know.
you're going to look bad in the playoffs. I hope
Jason Tatum got that. He got that fresh cut.
Yeah,
you know what he said about his fresh
I don't know
cut.
what Boston you get like every game though. You know what I'm saying? Boston's kind of like that good team you just don't know.
Right.
So it's I just
they kind of like a downwater Lakers.
Like Boston's one of those teams like they can beat LA and then like
lose to the Magic or something.
Yeah. On like the very next game. So it's just like it's weird. So
Okay.
I kind of get those. I'm going with Boston in a close game.
All right. Well, that was all the games that are coming up. Right now, we're about to go on break. Then we will be back to talk. I guess we could rate the Western Conference, Eastern Conference real quick. Yeah, we'll be back to talk that.
There's a lot of people that don't like Kobe, but again, it's the same as LeBron.
You always getting caught talking. Mike's hot. All right,
you don't ever say Mike.
I keep forgetting.
He do say, you get caught the topic. Mike's is hot.
I keep forgetting, man.
So you always gotta stay focused, man. See, I'm always looking at the screen, like just in case anybody catch me my pants down.
But hey, we back. At least you wasn't talking reckless, you know.
I'm never talking reckless.
That's a good point.
That's debatable.
But we back. Right now, we're about to. Right now, we about to quickly rank these Western and Eastern Conference. I'm gonna pull it up.
I'm gonna say, I guess I'll pull the teams if need be.
All right, there they go right there.
So we're ranking them off talent.
No, we're just ranking them like going in because how many games is left to the playoffs? I have no clue. There's a lot of games left.
Yeah, I would say probably about between 3 and 4.
Okay, so I'm just saying like right now as we see on fit, just put them 1 through 8. Who's going into the playoffs? Who's not? We could quickly do that. Like I could do the Western Conference. Like we definitely know the Lakers. We definitely know the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Jazz. Like the top 5, I don't see moving. Well, at most I see the Thunder maybe going to 6 and the Rockets going to 5.
The Rockets are going to probably move to 4.
Okay.
I think Utah is going to lose a couple more. I think OKC is going to go 50-50, and I think Houston's probably going to win enough to get to that 4th spot miraculously. But now it's between Dallas and OKC. I don't know who's going to follow up at 5th, but I just know Utah's going to fall to like 6th or 7th. I just have that gut feeling that they will.
I mean, I can see that, but I honestly don't. The most I see changing is maybe Portland gets in.
Yeah, outside of Memphis, I can see Memphis losing that spot to Portland.
Yeah,
I feel like Portland's going to get it together.
Like I mean, the
Dame's not
Spurs.
gonna go home.
Like the Spurs got a chance, and the Suns been playing good, but I don't see them really coming back and making that.
It's over with for them.
Yeah, making
They're
that
done.
elite.
See, the Suns, I think this gives them momentum until next season. Like, I still don't see them being a playoff contender next year either. But if the Suns are 40 and 42 at the end of next year, and you think, okay, the next year they could be pretty good, then I could see this little extra run helping them out. The Wizards couldn't have did nothing like that because they were too banged up. But I think if you would have had a Bradley Beal out there and John Wall, then you might have a different ball game. They might have been able to give you a couple wins, but they're just there for the pom poms.
Literally, you would need them both because I've seen Bradley Beal drop 50 balls and lose.
You would need them in.
I mean, I didn't see them both go off and lose, so I don't know how much that's gonna help having both of them.
I don't like that pair. I just don't like that chemistry at all.
I see it.
Disgusting. One of them has to go, and you can't get rid of John Wall. So.
I mean, you could.
No, it's that contract, bro. And he's coming fresh off injury too.
I don't even know what that contract looked like. So I'm
ridiculous.
Like,
remember Kevin Love's contract when he first signed?
Whoa! Leave my guy out of this.
Hold on, what was?
No, I'm talking contract wise. I'm not talking Kevin Durant the player. I'm talking the contract.
Durant the Love.
Yeah, who was you talking about? You said Kevin Love.
Yeah, I'm talking about how like when
you said Kevin Durant the second time.
No, I said Love.
No, you said Durant the second time.
No,
you said I'm not talking Kevin
Rewind
Durant
the
the player.
Kevin Love.
You gotta take the rewind.
Kevin Love Kevin Love.
All right, Kevin Love. What about him?
So you know how like they tried to get rid of his contract and just can't.
Yeah,
They're stuck with him. It's the same thing with Washington. Worse.
I mean that
Probably
was
like
more like
$15 million worse.
no
Not
one
$15
really
million
wanted to
worse.
trade for Kevin Love at that time. It wasn't. It was less his contract and more like his trade value, if I remember correctly.
No, his trade he still had value because
He wasn't
Kevin
playing
Love
like
can
he
still
had
get
value.
you like 14 and 9.
I'm happy to still have the Steph stopper on my team. I don't know about you.
I don't know about that.
Bring up the tape.
I mean,
Bring up the tape.
I'm a little happy to still
My
have him.
pick is I think the Clippers going to buckle down at some point. I think Denver's going to stay. It's just 4 through 7 is a question. 4 through 8 really is going to be
4 through 8
for the West. So 8th seed I got Portland. 7th seed I have Utah. 6th seed I have Dallas. 5th seed I have Houston. And wait, 4th seed I have 5th seed I have OKC, and then 4th seed I have Houston.
Okay. What about you, T?
I'm gonna go Lakers 1. I mean, obviously, Clippers. Nuggets are hanging on by a thread, but I think they keep that spot. Selfishly, I kind of want to see Oklahoma and Houston play in the first round just to see that trade and the irony of those two, that pairing happening. I would like to see that. I don't know if we get that, but just for the sake of that, I'm going to go ahead and say that Oklahoma slides to 4, Houston slides to 5, and Utah slides to 6. I think that 7th spot. I mean, obviously Dallas is going to keep that spot. I don't see them going too high or lower. Obviously, Memphis. Even though I do kind of think they got a little bit of the short end of the stick, they haven't won a game yet, so they're helping that cause. I think Portland takes over because Portland has that core that knows how to win and knows how to play in big time games and playoff games. So I mean, I think Portland takes that spot, and Memphis is just sitting there with the ugly face, pretty much, and it's all their fault.
We agreed on the show at one point that we'd much rather see the Pelicans and the Grizzlies in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I think we agreed on that.
Yeah, I think we all agreed on that.
I don't see them going. But
Yeah, if you had to choose.
I want to say we agreed because it was Dame that was like just whining.
No, it was just like between the two teams that we were just specific.
No, but I'm saying like we agreed on that because Dame was whining. We was
right. It's only because like I like the Pelicans as a defensive team better.
Okay.
I mean, the Pelicans are happy to be healthy, so I mean they are a threat, and I just think that just their playoff kind of je ne sais quoi, so to speak, their playoff run the last couple of years, I think that just kind of vaults them into kind of having that playoff mindset. So I think that carries them where Memphis is just happy to be there. They're playing like. And it's not just over the last bubble games. It's at the end of the season, they didn't end well either. There's a reason Portland is, within shouting distance of them. Memphis kind of felt like they were comfortable where they were at. And they could, just stay in that 8th spot. But the game doesn't change, so they're going to have to figure something out or at least get a couple wins. Because 2 of their losses have came to Portland and Memphis. You have to win those games. I mean, excuse me, not Portland and Memphis. Portland and New Orleans. You have to win those games to further, have that space between you two. But Memphis just looks like they want to back out.
Okay. And
Eastern Conference.
I mean, we could touch on it real quick, but
yeah, real fast. I don't see anything changing other than maybe Philly getting it together. But TJ Warren is playing such great basketball, man.
Definitely is.
And then you have Oladipo healthy. I don't think that's going to factor into like maybe if they make it past the first round of the playoffs. Honestly, so. Everyone's so close except for. I don't see it changing. I don't see the East changing at all.
Yeah, me either.
Unless Orlando hops back over Brooklyn, which I could see happening. Other than that,
I mean, that's the only thing I could see moving is
4,
1
5,
through 8.
6, and 7 and 8 is the only thing I can see moving.
But yeah, I don't see Washington getting in at all.
I just keep getting them dance step things stuck in my head at 5, 6, 7, 8. That's what I see. That's I see switching. I mean, going back to selfishly, man. Like I kind of want Philly to go ahead and take that 5 spot, just to see the irony of Miami and Philly playing against each other for a 7-game series. to see Jimmy getting it into the head of whoever.
Right.
You know how they go at each other. And I think Indiana and Boston would be a pretty good matchup too, actually. So
I like that matchup a lot.
that's what I would like to see, and I guess that's how I'm going to base it off of what I want to see. I see Brooklyn being AFC just because I don't know if they win another game. Milwaukee kind of handed them that game, and it still is close. But I see Orlando having something to play for. I mean, you want to see Toronto other than Milwaukee. You don't want to have to deal with Giannis. So I can see Orlando playing real hard to get to that spot, and I don't know what Brooklyn can do to get them some W's, but it's gonna be hard pressed to get some there. So I see them stumbling into that A spot and getting swept on out.
Do y'all see Kyrie playing once the playoffs start?
I don't see none of that at all.
That's fair.
That's actually nice that you mentioned him because right now we are about to talk real quickly about Kyrie donating $1.5 million to the WNBA.
The WNBA conversation.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's dope. I mean, I see it from where hoopers are sticking together. Yeah, I dig it.
Cause I mean, like that's kind of what he said in his statement. He said something along the lines, whether you're on the court or you're off fighting injustices, like gotta stick together or something like that.
Shout out to him. I shred him a lot. Well deserved. I don't apologize for anything I've said about the dude. Never will. Yeah, that's another knock. But at the same time, real recognize real, and I'm gonna shout him out when he does something real, as unoften as that is. I don't know if unoften is a word. We're gonna make it one today. Shout out to him and all my backhanded compliments I'm giving him at this moment. Appreciate the 2016 shot too, buddy. But nah, real talk. I'm proud of him for putting his money where his mouth is, literally. Shout out to him for that. The WNBA needs as much money as they possibly can get. It's good to see the NBA support them anyway. They need all the support they can get. So it's nice to be taking care of the players that can't afford to take a year off for real, but they're still doing it because we all know the WNBA makes significantly less money than NBA players. So Kyrie has 1.5 million to give to a player that may not see 1.5 million over the totality of their career. So I respect anytime you put your money where your mouth is. He done a lot of talking, and I wouldn't see no action, and that's the big reason why I shredded him a lot. But to actually see some action behind that, I'm gonna be able to salute that too. So good job, Kyrie. Finally, chump. Excuse me.
That's crazy.
I mean, I'm saying, bro.
He had to drink his water, bro. I ain't hearing what you talking about. What's crazy?
Man,
You right. I ain't hearing nothing. So that was a little quick, son. Just shout out to him.
he want to fight me after a while.
No, he's going to just give you an educational talk about like why you're wrong, or
That's worse than fight me. I'd rather just get this over with quickly.
All right, so let's move on to the last topic. Let's talk Iguodala. Andre Iguodala supposedly disrespected an NBA player.
Shout out to Rondell for the transition game, though.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good job, bro.
Yes, sir. I'm out here producing today.
That's my producer.
I'm out here producing. So let's pull up the tweet. Actually, this is the tweet. I mean, I don't really see the disrespect. I get where she's kind of coming from, but like, it could have been a thank you, and then reminding him what her name is, and then moving on. Because all he said was number 23 from the Mystics is nice, and she just wanted her name in the tweet. So how y'all feeling on it?
Yeah, as a guy, of course, I'm not going to see anything wrong with it. I just get your props. I mean, I understand where she thought it was disrespectful because the WNBA already gets a bad rap just because of like they don't get enough respect or they don't get enough money and this, that, and the third. I get it. And it's just like a player of a high magnitude of Andre Iguodala in the NBA is just not putting the name out there. It's just kind of like you're just giving out a message saying, yeah, like it doesn't matter who she is. You know what I'm saying? Or it's not. You don't have to follow what the names. You don't have to follow the resumes or nothing. You just know that player is good, and then you're not going to check it out. I get it. I get her like stance on it.
Right.
But at the same time, again, from a guy standpoint, you have to take that credit. you have to take that respect because we're not looking at it disrespectfully. We get it. Like we know like it's a hooper stick together kind of thing. It's not that you're like I'm not saying I didn't put your name out there to neglect what you've done or what you're doing or any of that sort, or I'm not belittling you because of like our stature in the same category or the same job. It's just that I just gave you your props, and that's what it is at the end of the day. It's a respect. So it's kind of like it's kind of half respect, kind of half disrespect. I can see both sides.
Right.
It's just like like they just want that recognition. We don't play in an era now where like we get to see the players' last names on their backs now, or we get the notoriety now because they have such a big platform. So respect that I'm on this platform. So I get it.
Okay. And before you go off, T, this is her other tweet on it. If you can't see it, can y'all see it? Mm-hmm. All right. I guess I can read it out. It says, we deal with disrespect on the daily, so for someone like you, Andre, to tweet that off, the same device you could have looked me up on is unacceptable. Mind you, commentator said my name. Would it have been the same if I was a guy? Look at the pic. I didn't forget. I said what I said. And then it has a little caption of a story that he said he don't want his daughter. Use a weird analogy.
Like, okay, so say if you're at a cookout.
Hold on. Oh, let T go off before because we kind of running close.
See that I have a problem with. More so just because we do live in a world where bringing up old stuff is cool. I mean that obviously that statement misguided, whatever. It's not guaranteed that if your daughter plays WNBA basketball, she's gonna become a lesbian.
Right.
It's stupid, but at the same time, that to me tells me that Miss Powers already had a grind that, and I asked to grind with Iguodala anyway.
Yeah, she already did.
You know what I'm saying? Like you don't just you have that on deck. I understand where she was coming from though. With that being said, because you can still look up a device and say, well, who's number 23 for the Mystics? Right. But maybe he doesn't care that much.
Yeah, like
that's just the reality of it. And it's like to me, and this just comes with I think a big part of dating. It's kind of what's happening here too, even though obviously they're not dating or anything. But it's kind of and we've all probably said it. You hear what you want to hear.
Right.
Well, you paid attention to the number 23. That's what she took the disrespect at, but she forgot that is nice. Okay, well, he did say you were nice.
Yeah, he complimented her, but it's like
a big deal.
It's backhanded to her.
I get it, but at the same time, like, reach out to him, you know, and educate somebody. Why do you always have to go straight to the attitude mode? He could be watching the game on mute. He could just be trying to show love. He could not even care about the WNBA and knowing what's kind of happening and trying to, show love his way and saying something like that. Most people who do know, like I watch a lot of WNBA. I didn't know who she was, mainly because I watch it on mute too. I probably looked at it and said, "Oh, number 23 is nice." Is she gonna be mad at me? I'm pretty sure she has other tweets that say number 23 is nice. You can go look it up. Probably there. But Iguodala, that's the headline. Shout out to Iguodala because he got more love for her than she probably would have ever got because now we're talking about her on this show.
Right.
We don't talk about her if he doesn't say that.
True.
It's the lack of recognition that they have in itself. It's just like, okay, so if you were to be like, oh, yeah, number 23 from the Lakers is nice. Right? And then it's just like...
Wait, do they have a 23? Is LeBron number 23?
Yep.
I thought he changed.
No.
He wanted to.
He wears number 6 during practice.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, like, I'm gonna kick this off real fast. So it's like, okay, if someone was to be like, oh, yeah, number 23 from the Lakers is nice. LeBron's not going to respond to that due to the simple fact the world is going to respond to that. Like, dude, you don't know who LeBron James is? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then, like, WNBA players don't have that luxury.
No.
Because not enough, they don't have the revenue or they don't have the finances to even have that. Because look at the WNBA. What is it, like 12, 14 teams?
I have no clue.
We don't even know when the season starts for the WNBA. We don't. It's just how the world works. It's just how it is. So that's what they're fighting for still. They're fighting for that women's equality.
They got 12 teams.
I mean,
so look at it like this. Look at the analogy. You're in a cookout, right? or you're at a restaurant.
This
You'd be like, oh snap, somebody made this mac and cheese good. And then a person would be like, I have a name tag, sir. Like the chef comes out with a name tag, like put some respect on my name. I don't know your name, bro. I'm sorry, but you cook good though.
What
You see
all,
what I'm saying?
it all comes to motives and what you felt like they should do. But that's it. To me, that tweet it's an indication of what social media is. Everybody's ready to be offended over something. Like it really wasn't that big of a deal, but she wanted to make it that big of a deal, which made it into a big of a deal enough to be like, well, he said this years ago, and let's bring this up that has no relevancy with the fact, even if it was a dumb statement, let's make that a thing. Now you're getting the WNBA in a negative light again because now you're just looking like the whiny ones. There's a reason why nobody wants to, like, just because you say nobody wants to watch me play doesn't mean that that's going to make people watch you play, or we don't get enough respect. It's not like people are going to respect you for that. At the end of the day, people have freedom of choice, and a lot of people's freedom of choice makes them not turn to the WNBA. It is what it is. If you want your name to be known, become a better brand. Nobody stops you from having that Twitter in your hand. Put yourself out there a little bit more. You can have an Instagram, go live, share that thing out, do whatever you need to do if you want your name to be out there more. But it seems like what she was doing was taking the slight piece of disrespect she felt and blowing it up so now she can get her name out there. And it worked. So shout out to her.
yeah, it worked.
Great marketing skills, I suppose.
Yeah,
Finally.
I suppose.
That's your number one problem, WNBA. You're not to market yourself. And this is the best way you can. You got to latch yourself onto the NBA every time.
That's the best way they can. That's the problem.
That's their problem. Do
That's
something.
crazy.
Juggle something. Freaking do a backflip. I don't know.
All right.
Figure something out.
Well, we're at the end of our show. Anyone want to shout out some social medias y'all want people to check out?
Shout out to WNBA. They can come here and talk to me.
That's
Have
great.
some barbecues.
That's great.
Shout out to the NBA, shout out to the WNBA, shout out to the sport of basketball. If you guys want to find me on Instagram, find me at Marvelous. The one is replaced with the L and then 2 underscores. You can add me on PlayStation, IAH_Marvelous.
You still ain't at me on PlayStation, so
That's
don't do
nuts,
none of that.
I mean, I still out smoke you in Madden, by the way. Oh yeah, by the way, we have a Madden challenge, me and Rondell, to where the loser has to come on the show and admit to the loss. And
Well,
break down.
technically, you forgot Logan too, is in
And
that.
Logan Morris too, if you want to check out his show on Loganity.
On whose show?
I mean,
Logan
Did you just plug Loganity on this show?
yeah, we can plug all the
That's
shows,
love, bro.
Come on, man. Loganity,
love, bro.
Loganity was yesterday.
Loganity on this show? Did he plug us?
He didn't plug us, but he talked about how I'm an amazing producer yesterday.
So he plugged you.
Yes, sir.
That's a fair trade.
Take it away.
Take it away, Penny.
You want me? All right.
Loganity, you better start plugging us.
That's crazy. That's
Or
crazy.
you have to pay. Pay
All
what
right.
you owe.
All right. Well, that's the last
So
last
that
thought y'all
Mojo
got.
And then add me on Marvel Nichols.
All right, bro.
Anything?
All right, bro.
Add my page, Theron Nesbitt, TheronNesbit. Add the Nutty North page. We do have that. That is a show coming up tomorrow. And we have an open gym page. So all those are on Facebook. Come holler at us.
Yes, sir. And you can look me up at Facebook, Rondell Sutherland, or Instagram, which I'm not on, r.Sutherland Films. I'm trying. But that's the end of our show. Episode 4, 5? I have no clue right now.
4/5.
Open gym, and we'll see y'all next week.
Black 4/4, white 4/5, Obama and Trump.
What's wrong with my